Welcome back, everyone. We are doing this afternoon of week 2, day 2, the continuation of this morning's lecture. We are going to start the website. We're going to do this website, and whatever I don't finish after the, let's see, where is it? After the second hour here of code reviews, after 4, I'm going to continue it at 5. I'm going to record that, and I'll put that up there as well. Okay, for those that want to stay and see me do it and ask questions, be there live, you're welcome to stay. It's not required, but I do want to finish the website, whatever I don't finish this hour. Okay, so let's do as much as we can. I want to thoroughly explain everything, get as far as I can. So ask questions. Don't feel like you're interrupting me, because the point of this is for you guys to learn. So ask questions, but let's see how far we can get. All right. So I have my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript already prepared, right? We have the HTML. Let's close everything here. Let's do with a fresh start and have a fresh view of everything here. So I'm going to just open folder, open folder from here. Oh, and by the way, you guys, we should not ever post any copy of the exam online. So whatever we do, any attempt, whether we finish it or not, please don't post it online. Okay. Here. Okay, so let's create our images folder. Let's pull in our images. So you'll get a zip, you'll open up the zip and get the images. You'll have the wireframe in some of them and the images in others. So you have to figure out which one is which. I know which one is which already, so I'm going to just highlight them all, the ones I need, hold down Command and click the ones that I want, and then just drag it in the images folder. Okay, so they're there now. And so I'm going to create my index.html, style.css, and script.js. I'm going to open this up with the exclamation mark and then press enter, and I want to connect my CSS. So let's have something to view that connection with. So I'm going to put an H1 here and say hello world. And then here above, I'm going to say link : CSS. Enter. And then I have this connection. And then I'm going to target my H1 and just color it red so I know that the connection is there. I'm also going to connect my JavaScript to my HTML. So I'm going to go to the bottom of the body here, right above the bottom, and say script : src. And then I type in the name of the file. So I just type / and it's going to give me all the options available. Just click the right one, so I don't have to type it out and accidentally make a typo. So that's connected. And now we want to test that connection. So let's add a console log. So we'll just put a hello world here as well. And so let's right click, open live server. And here we are. Okay, so this is where we're starting with. We know our CSS is connected because this is red. If I right click and inspect, go to the console, I here have a hello world. So we're all good. We're connected. And this is what you want to have set up before you start the exam. Okay, before you start the exam. Now, let's look at the wireframe. Here's my wireframe. All right, I'm going to first analyze this page, divide it into different sections, and this is going to give me a foundation to build upon. Okay, so let's think of this as like a building of a house, right? When we're building a house from the top down, we're looking at it from the top, like we're birds looking at it down. All right, so this would be, for example, let me see, where's my colors? There it is. Okay, so this would be like the front lawn here. This is the nav, obviously, but think of this as like the front lawn area here. And then the rest of this is the actual building of the house. This is all in one square area connected. All right, so we're going to build from the outside in. Outside in. All right, we're going to build the outside walls before we build the rooms. And before we fill the rooms, we're going to define the rooms. Okay, and we have to do this process understanding how HTML works, how when we create divs, they stack one on top of another, and how when we apply flex to the container, the divs will then align side by side next to each other. So we have to define different areas, divide and define different areas on our page. So let's go ahead and do that now. So let's start with this this one on top. So far, I just have two divs within the body, right? The nav, and we'll call this the, we can call this the main content. Yeah, let's call this the main content. How about that? So we'll call this the nav. Let me draw something here. So that will be the nav. Oh, that's not a good color. Hold on. Okay, so that's the nav. And then we say that this one is the main content. This is an important step in the process. It looks like it's like over tedious, but it really helps because you realize sometimes when you're halfway through building that you didn't organize your steps correctly. And so you built in an awkward way. So this is always the way to start. All right. Even if it takes you a while, I mean, the more you do it, the faster you get. So I'm going to write some text here. I want this to be, we said the main content. So I'll just call it main. Okay. And so within here, we have, let's call this the main top. And I'll highlight it as blue. So we have the main top. And so let's draw an arrow here. Where's this? Main top. And so here we are. That's the blue area. And we also have the main bottom. So this is all within main. We have the main, oh, it's not right. We have the main bottom. Okay. And all right, so we're here. And now within main bottom, we have this awkward positioning here where we cannot divide this evenly, right? Like, how would we do this? If we try to divide this by a row like this, we're kind of, this may work, but it's cutting close, really on the edges there of each one. So that's a possible way to do it, actually, though. So this is, we could divide it into 2 rows and account for that small space. But I would rather do it this way. I would rather go into columns. That way, I don't have to cut it close with the spacing of the margins. So I'd rather do columns. And so that means that I have to create 2 div areas like you see here. This one, and then this one. And these 2 divs have to be flexed through the main, okay? So the main has to have flex on it in order for these 2 to have columns side by side. So I'm going to call this one the left column and this one the right column. Okay, let me write it with the zoom tools instead of my. Okay, so I'm going to write my left column. Nope, I'm going to undo that. I want a different color. Okay, so here's my left column. And then my right column. I need a different color. Okay, there it is. All right, so here's my right column. Okay, now within my left column, I need 2 divs. And within my right column, I need 3 divs. So let's do that. Let's carve that out. Okay, so, sorry. We are going to do this. I know we already did this morning, but it's important to enforce this step, okay? So within my left column, I want to name this one. What is this one going to be called? We should call this post 1 and post 2 because this is what each one is, right? So we're going to call this post 1. It's like a social media post. And this one below, what color is this going to be? Blue. Okay, that's the wrong color. Okay, so this one is going to be called post 2. Now we have about the dojo, Discord, and dojo rules. Okay, so we need to diagram these. Let's do that real quick. Once you do, you can use Zoom tools if you'd like, or you can use a pen and paper, right? I'm doing this on Zoom so that we can all see. But normally I would just get a pen and paper and do this real quick and on a sheet of paper, so it's not so tedious as you see me doing it now. So, okay, where am I? I am working on About the Dojo. And so I'm going to color this one green. Let's color this one green. This one is going to be called About the Dojo. So let's draw that there. Okay. About. I'm just going to call this about. How about that? And this one, the one below, we'll call this one Discord. Okay, so Discord, let me make it even brighter. So Discord. And then lastly, we have rules. We'll just call this one the rules. This one here is going to be rules. Okay, so now's the time I want to take a quick pause and, oh, sorry. I want to ask you guys, how well do we understand this step that I just completed, which is carving out the page, looking at it, and deciding which divs will live in which ones will be the parent and where I would apply flex. Okay, so looking at a page this way, building it from the outside in is the first step. Okay, if you just go into it blind, you're not going to be able, you're going to run into a snag. Okay, you're going to get hung up on some error that you didn't completely understand because you didn't do this process. It seems over tedious, but trust me, it'll help. Okay, so do it on pen and paper if you don't want to do it through Zoom, just like I did. Okay, it takes a while through Zoom, take some practice changing the colors and shapes. It's time consuming, so I wouldn't recommend doing it on Zoom. Do it on pen and paper. Okay, use some color pencils if you have some. All right, so here we are. I'm going to screenshot this and then use this as a reference as I build. Okay, so I have this as a screenshot. Let me save it, and I'll just clear my screen. Okay, now that we're here, let's start building. Okay, so I don't need, well, I guess I do. I can use this. All right, so I have this screen here. I don't need to see this detailed screen yet. All I need to see is my screenshot right now. This is my guide for now. Okay, so I'll close even the other wireframe. And if you guys have more than one screen on your desktop, what I would recommend you guys do is have one screen for your code, another screen for your display, and a third screen, if you have a third screen, for the wireframe that you're trying to mimic. Okay, so I personally find the more screens the better. Now, if you're a tab ninja, then more power to you. But I like to have this like all in front of me at once so that I can just move my eyes and it's all there. I don't like to, my thought process and flow of how I work, I don't like to tab with my fingers so much because it distracts me. Anyways, I'm going to have to do it here while I work because I can only do it in one screen. But in case you guys have more screens, that's what I recommend. It would help me shave off a lot of time while taking my tests. Also, you'll notice that when I work, I have autosave on. So anything I do, any save that I make instantly appears when the live server is active because it will reflect that change as I save it. Okay, so like for example, if I go ahead and change this to blue, if I just type in blue, it'll instantly change to blue. And so I can work a little faster that way. But you have to know that any mistake that you make, then if you work this way with autosave, it's also going to be saved. So it's a little bit like walking on eggshells, but if you get used to it, you can work in the way that I work here. Okay. Let's continue. All right, so we want to build this shape here. This is our shape. Like we're looking at this like we would look at the flag, right? Where do the colors align? Where do the boxes live? All right, so we want to start with this green nav here, but before we get to that, let's make our editor work for us. So we're going to take away our CSS rules. We know they're connected. We don't need this console log anymore. And let's divide up our editor. So let's put the CSS on the right, HTML on the left. And let's close this for a moment. And the first thing I want to do is do the CSS reset. Now, I believe Narciso would have taught you guys this. I'm going to set the reset so that margin is 0 and padding is 0. And I can see that this works if I do the H1 and I say hello world. On my display, it's at the top left corner. If I take it out here, if I highlight and comment, okay, so this is working. This is what I want to happen. I want it to be at the top left corner. That's how I know my CSS reset is working properly. Okay, so that's all I need to start with. And I want to just add a comment just to make it look clean. So I'll say CSS reset, and I'll do command / or control / if you're on a PC. So, okay, here we are. Hello world. And so let's continue. Now let's write the nav bar here. Let's write the nav bar. So I will start by saying, hold on a second. I just realized something. Before we start with the nav bar, I want to let you guys know that this here, the width of this page, we should assume the width of this whole entire page is 1,000 pixels. Okay, we don't need to make our page reshape and resize according to the browser width. Okay, so you'll notice that if you like look on the browser, normally the shape of something would resize if we resize the page. Like let's at this here that has a column on the left and a main section on the right. So this will resize with the page. We don't need that to happen. Okay, we'll learn how to do this after we take the test. Right now, we just need to set this to a fixed pixel width, which is 1,000 pixels. Okay, so let's do that by affecting the body. So let's go to the body and say, body, your width will be 1,000 pixels, and start with that there. And we're going to add a height to it as well so that we can see some color to the body. So let's set a background color and we'll make it aqua. So there we have a background color. I'm going to take away this. So this is our body. Okay. And so it has a height, it has a width. Actually, hold on a second here. Max width, 1000 pixels. Okay, but the background color is still covering the whole area no matter how much I stretch it. Hold on a second. Let's see. What am I not covering? So background color, height, max height, maybe this one as well. No, well, it's interesting. But we want to set the width to be 1000 pixels. Okay, let's start with this. Then we go inside here and we create the nav. So let's write out a comment here, nav bar. And so I'll add that comment there and I'll say nav. This is a HTML nav tag. I could use a div and just call it class nav. That would be the same, but I just want to do it this way because the nav tag is unique. I can just target the nav tag like this. And I'll say the nav is going to have a height of about 200 pixels, or let's say actually 100 pixels. And background color of green. Okay. I think this is way too tall. Oh, I see what's going on here. Okay. And this is a mistake that's common as well. Before you take the test, make sure that your zoom is set to 100%. Okay. Happens all the time. It just happened to me. So make sure that your zoom is at 100%. So that's probably the reason I was running into that error there. So now we can see it. That's actually 1000 pixels. That's what I'm used to seeing. So when you're not seeing your measurements correct, make sure your zoom is correct. So let's set the zoom to 1000 pixels. And to the body, we'll say, hold on a second, let me try something. Margin 0 auto. Okay. So what this is doing, if I set margin 0 auto, this is centering the div on its background without having to use any flex tools. Okay. So I'm just centering it by saying margin 0 auto on the body. The body contains the nav bar, which is 1000 pixels because it's within the body and it has a height of 100 pixels. So that's why it just centered there. So that's where we can start with, right? We can start with this this nav bar being 1000 pixels. So let's write within this nav bar, within this nav bar area, we can actually shorten it and extend its margin bottom. So we'll this area right here below the nav bar, I'll just treat that as the margin bottom. Okay, so let's actually shorten our nav. So let's say nav with the height of 50 pixels and a margin bottom of 50 pixels. Okay, and so what's below the nav? Below the nav, we have the main div. So let's create our main. We'll say a comment here, main. And then command slash right? And I'll say div dot main, enter, enter. And so here we have the main content. Let's add a comment here as well. So nav comment, and then below we have main content comment. Okay, so now with this main content, we're going to target it and say dot main, and we're going to add a, if this is 1,000 pixels wide, I'm going to assume the main here is going to be maybe like 650 pixels wide. And with the height of 500 pixels and a background color of orange. Okay, so here we are. We have our main content, and we actually could make it larger. We can make it taller. So let's switch that to 700. Okay, that's looking better. And we want to center it. So let's take that margin 0 auto. I'm just going to click the 11, copy, enter, and paste here. Okay, now it's centered. So, all right, now I need to create the main top within, right? Main top and main bottom. Main top and main bottom. All right, but let me check in on you guys if you are following along. How well do we understand how far I've gotten so far? Getting the nav bar and the main content to line up like this. And if so, if you're not understanding, if you're not following, what are you missing? What are you not understanding? Ask a question if you have one now. Did you see how I used margin 0 auto? I just placed it within the div I wanted to line to the center. And I placed it within the body so that the nav would align in the center of the page of the window, so that the body is always within the window. And I also placed it within this one called main so that it would align within its body. So main has it, and that's why it's aligning within its body. So now I want to work within this main, and I want to create these color shapes. So what's the main top one? Let's start there. So let's open up and go inside the main because we're going inside the main. So we'll say div dot main dash top, enter, enter. And now let's go here and say dot main dash top. Open this up and give this a height. Let's give it a height of, give it a height of 100 pixels and a background color of blue. All right, so there we have that. We have the main top. Now we need to create the main bottom. So within this orange one, we need to create a main bottom. So let's go there. Div dot main dash bottom. Enter. And so let's go here and say div dot main dash bottom. And I think I want to add some comments as well. So we'll say main top and main bottom. Okay, and command slash, command slash. Okay, so Now I need to give some height and color to the main bottom. So we'll say height is, well, if this main is 700 pixels tall and this height is 100, then the height for this must be 600. And the background color of blue violet, why not? Okay, so there we are. We have it. Main top and main bottom. Now within main bottom, we wanted to create the left column and the right column, right? The left column is this one here. And then the right column is the one to the right of it here. So let's create the left column and the right column. All right, left column is going to go within main bottom. So I'll go here within main bottom and I'll say div dot left dash col, enter, enter. Okay. And let's say comment. Oh, you know what? I should put some comments in here. So dash dash main top dash dash and main bottom dash dash and then left column dash dash main left call dash dash and so forth. Okay, so I have 3 comments. Let's command slash each one. There we are. Okay, so now let's target our left column. Let's add a comment, left dash call. All right. Now I'll say dash dot left dash call, open up the brackets. And so I need to create this one, right? So what do you think the pixel width for this guy would be? If this whole thing is how many pixels wide? How many pixels wide is that? What's the purple one? It's as wide as its container. And the container for main, the width is 650. So what's 650 more or less divided in half? 650 divided in half would be like 325.
25.
Yeah.
So 325, but it's a little bit more than half. So we'll say 360. How about that? That's a nice even number. So left column will be having a width of 360 px and a background color of what's our model here have? Green. Doesn't matter because it's going to get covered up. Okay, so background color of green. What did I miss? Left call with, and I need to give it a height because the width is there, but the height, unless the height is defined, it's going to be a line. It's just a straight line with the width, but it needs 2 dimensions. I like to think of CSS building these squares in 2 dimensions. So I like to give height and width wherever I can. Sometimes I don't always need to give a width to something because it will take up the width of its container. But in this case, I do need to give both height and width. So in this left column, the width is going to be 360 and the height is going to be the height of the main bottom. So height is going to be 600 px. And there we have it. Okay, so there's the left column. And now the right column, I think you could even be a little bit more than that. The right column is going to be right column is going to be, let's create the right column. Right column is going to go here. Right dash call dash dash. All right. Now it's getting a little messy in here, so I need to figure out where I am so I don't write the right column in the wrong area. So main bottom, if I click this top div, it'll highlight the bottom. So I need to be within here. So far I'm okay. And if I click the top div for left column, the ending is right here. So I know I'm not interfering with this left column, but I'm still within the main bottom. So I'll enter in here and I'll create my div. Div dot right dash call, enter, and enter again. Now that I've created this, my page is looking a little jagged. So let's right click and say format document. Okay, so because I didn't have anything in my divs, it closed them up, but I can just reopen that and it still looks clean here. Okay, so that looks better. Here I have my right column. So let's go ahead and say dash dash right dash call dash dash and then comment. So let's say dot right dash call, open up the brackets and give it a width of, well, if its neighbor to the left is 375 and the total width is 650, maybe this one will be like 250. So let's try that number. Okay, so width is going to be 250. And so it has a width, it needs a height. Height is going to be 600 pixels. And it needs a background color so we can see it. So it's there, but we can't see it. So we need a background color. It doesn't matter what color, we'll call it something we can see. Pink. Right? There we are. Okay, where's my pink div? Okay, right call. Did I name it correctly? Yeah. Okay. Did I give it a... Oh, here we are. I know what happened. There it is. We didn't apply flex yet. So this is where it's supposed to be. Because divs naturally stack one on top of another. And since both this green and pink one are both within the purple container, in order to make them go side by side next to each other, we have to apply flex to its container. So let's apply flex to the purple one. Let's go to our purple div. And here we'll say display flex. And there we are. And I want to create some space between them two, right? We have a little space between them two right here. So I'll justify content space between. I'll say justify content space between, and that's going to send them to the most outer edges of their container. And so now we have that little space between there. That's the background. Now that we're here, we're nearly done. We need to fill in the left and right column. So in order to fill in the left and right column, we need to go into them and start creating those divs. But I want to ask you guys one more time, how well do we understand what I've done so far? Do we get how I've made these divs line up this way? Is there anything that's majorly confusing or anything at all that you'd like to ask? Okay, so I'd count 5 more divs to make. So here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's create those 5. So in my left column are going to be my first 2. We said the post 1 and post 2. So inside my left column, we'll say div dot, well, I can't see with this. I'm feeling claustrophobic. I'm going to open it up. So div dot, what did we say? Post one, post dash one, enter. Okay, so we're there. Let's even this out. And so I want to write post one relative to its neighbor, its parent in this case. So I'm going to write this post one within this left column comment area. So let's write here dot post dash one, enter, enter. And post one is going to have, what's the height? What's the width going to be? The width's going to be the total width of its parent, and its height is going to be probably around half of its parent. So this, I'm looking at this orange block right here. So width we can already know, and height we can calculate. So the width is going to be width of the left column. So width is going to be 375 pixels. And oh, we spelled that wrong. Okay, and height is going to be half of 600. So let's make it 290 pixels. And then a background color of brown. Okay, there's that. Okay, one down, 4 to go. We have the purple one below it. Oops. Okay, here we are. Now I want to go below post 1. I want to make it post 2 right here within left column, right? Still within left column. So post 2, div dot post dash 2. Enter. Enter. And I'm going to make it its neighbor here. Dot post dash 2. Open up the comment here. And let's write some comments here. Post 1. Post 2. Post 1. And post 2. Okay, let's comment these. Control command slash, command slash, command slash, command slash, or control slash if you're on a PC. All right, now post 1. Let's, oh no, we were on post 2. Sorry, we already did post 1. It's already there. Okay, post 2. Let's not lose concentration. All right, post 2 is purple. Post 2 is going to have a width of 375, just like its neighbor above. Okay, and a height of let's see what it's looking like. Oh, around the same as its neighbor above. So also 290 pixels. Okay, so let's look at what this looks like. Oh, wait, one more thing before we can even see it, right? Because we can't see it yet. It's there, but we can't see it. We need to give it a background color. Background color of, just scroll through it and find one. Gold. Okay, there we are. So we have a little bit of space below. So let's add some margin top to this one. Say margin top. 10 pixels. What about 20 pixels? All right, so there we are. Now we have 3 more divs to go. Okay, excuse me, guys. I feel like I have like a sneeze coming, but every time I mute my mic, it goes away. So I have this feeling like I have to sneeze, but it's not actually coming. So it's really weird. I don't know when to stop talking or not. Like, I'm gonna sneeze right through the mic. Okay. All right, here we are. Okay, right side. 3 divs to go. Green, pink, and vomit color. What is that color? All right, green. Green. Green one is, what is it called? It's called the about. So within right column, within the right column. Within the right column. All right, so let's go to this area below the right column here as well. So let's say about. All right, we're carving out our way for the about column. About, comment. Okay, let's write that div dot about, enter. And then let's target it here, dot about. And excuse me, what is the color? We said green, right? Okay, green. So width is going to be, let's just give it a height. Height is going to be, height of the right column is 600 pixels. So this would be maybe 180 pixels. And background color of, scroll through and find a color. Oh, we said green. I keep saying it, but okay, but we already used that shade of green. So let me just poke around here. There we are. Okay. So green, it's a little bit shorter than here. Proportionally, it's a little bit wider on the example. But if you get the general idea, like what I'm doing here, that's enough for your test to pass, okay? So I'm not looking like for exact proportions. I'm looking for, does it look like a version of what I'm seeing here, okay? So you don't need to get the exact detailed proportions, like measure it out pixel for pixel, and so this, just get the general idea, like what I'm doing here. And so I have 2 more, 1, 2. So we need this like magenta colored one. And all right, so this is going to go below the green one. So we need it to be within the same space as the pink column. So within the pink column, which one is that? The right column. So let's click the top of the right call and it ends there. So that's where I need to be between here. So I don't want to be within the about, and I know it ends on line 41. So I'm going to click to the right of it and enter and say div dot, what is this one called? We called this one Discord. Div dot Discord. And so when you diagram your page the way I did, you don't have to remember the class names you gave everything. You just follow the example, the blueprint that you wrote for yourself. Okay, so that you write div dot Discord. And so let's write that here, Discord. And so we'll say dot Discord. And we're nearing the end of the hour here. So we're about to finish this. And what are we going to do as far as JavaScript? Well, what I'll do is I'll finish this recording and I'll finish it after the code review. I'll just continue it as a lecture. Okay, so you guys are welcome to stay or just watch the recording when you're ready on your own time. So let's finish these last couple divs. And then this is our starting point. If we can fill this in, then we can fill in all the details. We can apply flex to all the buttons here that we create in this nav, right? We can section off these areas. This would be a column here on the left within the card. And these are just, divs that are rows. We don't need to apply flex to anything within here. Nothing that we need to flex. So let's go ahead and continue. We have 2 more divs. All right. So we have this magenta one below the green. And so we called it Discord. So let's give it a height of 100 pixels. Background color of magenta. Okay. There it is. And we want to space it out from its neighbor. So let's give it some margin top so that it has that force field on the top of 50 pixels. So let's see that. Okay, perfect. So there we are. It's about halfway through like this is. And so now we need one more, the last one below. And so, oh, did we say that was? Well, okay, this is going to be called, what is this called? Rules. We called this one rules. Okay, so let's go below this Discord one. So click the top here so I know the bottom's there. And I'll say div dot rules. Enter, enter. And then let's target it here. Rules. We need a comment so that we section it off for our eyes. All right, dot rules. Open the comment and say height of, I'm just going to guess here, 300 pixels. And a background color of, let's search a color. There we are, sea green. Okay, it's a little too tall, but okay, we can fix that. All right, and we need to give it some space. So it means we need to make it even smaller. And margin top, 50 pixels. What do we got? All right, so it's looking good. Let's shorten this. Shorten both of them so they're even. Okay, so that's good. It's looking great. In fact, I want to make this taller. There we are. Now that's good. Now that we have this, we can fill in the details. All right, so this took me 1 hour. All right, so this is a good marking point for how far you should be when you're taking your test. Okay, let's try to get to this mark at least within the 2nd hour, right? But this is, it took me an hour to make this and explain it as I did it. But here's our starting point. Now that we've finished this, we go into each div and then create the details. But you don't want to create the nav bar, then create the buttons within it, then create the search and then the functionality. No, you want to start with this big picture and then work from outside in, the containers, and then within the containers, you create the divs, okay? So within this one, you had this top, and then the bottom, and then well, we just did this. So let's take one last poll here. And do we have any questions about anything I've done so far or anything about this process? Do we get why we have to create this shape before we fill in the details? Because if we start to fill in the details and we draw from inside out, it's like when you were in, grade school and you're writing your paper, you're writing across your line, then you realize, uh-oh, I didn't account for how long this sentence was or how long this word was. And then you start to scribble down the side of the page because you didn't like space it out, you didn't even it out. All right, so this is why we do this. So we create our containers so that we can work within, and we're not using measurements based off our initial sizing of things. So we create the containers, then we work within, and that gives us a nice flow, a workflow. Okay, so I'll go ahead and continue this after our code reviews. Let's go ahead and close out this lecture session and get that started. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to the calendar one last time. Okay, so we just finished our afternoon session of me doing the test demo. I already shared this on Discord, didn't I? Did I share this on Discord yet? Okay, I don't think I have, but here it is on Discord. I just pasted it. Okay, so it's on Discord. You guys can have an attempt yourself. The code reviews are going to start right after this. And tomorrow morning, we're going to start our exam if we've completed all of our core assignments. Okay, so we're going to be here. I'm going to be here after I do the code reviews to finish demo of this web page. I'm going to finish doing this. And then, yeah, you guys are welcome to stay. You're not required to. But if you have not finished your core assignments before tomorrow, you won't be taking the exam. So do work on that for the rest of the day if you can. Don't stay up all night doing it and think that you'll do a good attempt tomorrow. But even pace out your workflow. Okay, so all right, so let's end this. Let's end this recording and get started on our code reviews.